Hi, this is Luke with Swing Stronger. Today I want to discuss differences between prehabilitation or prehab exercises that encourage mobility and flexibility and greater range of motion, and the difference between those exercises versus exercises meant for rehabilitation and exercises meant to reduce pain and get rid of pain. So the thing is, with a lot of flexibility and mobility exercises, static stretches, stuff like that, these exercises won't necessarily cure your pain. I mean, these exercises can increase your range of motion and make it less likely for you to get injured doing many activities. So they're beneficial in this way. So, a lot of these flexibility exercises, a lot of static stretches, and just stretches in general are like hypertrophy for lengthening your muscles, so your muscles get stronger over time as you practice lengthening them for longer periods of time. It's like how bodybuilders do hypertrophy for widening their muscles. When you do flexibility and mobility drills, you're doing hypertrophy for lengthening your muscles, which, like I was saying, is useful for getting a greater range of motion, and it will help you in your everyday life in many ways, and definitely can. However, if you're already dealing with pain and you have sensitivities and things such as that, I wouldn't start out with mobility and flexibility drills. I would work into those later. I would start out with the rehab exercises and the exercises meant to get rid of pain. So I wanted to read something from the world-renowned back doctor and back pain specialist, Dr. Stuart McGill's book, Back Mechanic. And it's a section of his book from chapter 16 that's pretty pertinent and relevant to what I'm saying right now. So this section is titled, "So Should I Stop Stretching? I Enjoy It." For many, stretching early in a pain reduction program usually causes more back trouble than it cures, particularly those that involve bending through the spine. Recall that static stretching, that is, reaching and holding a stretch, when tested, has not been shown to reduce injury as has been previously claimed. In fact, those with greater spine mobility and flexibility in particular are actually a higher risk category for future back pain. I will again return to the idea that while many experience a temporary relief after stretching, this is due to a stimulation of the stretch reflex and is only a fleeting mask of the damage you are causing underneath. This is not to say that no type of stretch is ever beneficial in any way, but I would simply warn you to be very judicious when deciding whether or not to stretch. You must have a specific reason. For example, if increased hip mobility is the goal, decide on the best way to achieve this. Perhaps a selection of more dynamic exercise would be the more appropriate course of action. By this, I mean exercise that moves the joints continuously, such as the walking lunge, as opposed to a static stretch that is pushed to an end range and held still. That being said, there are some who will benefit from thoracic mobility extension stretch. So there you have it from an expert that stretching should be done with a purpose and not really for pain. So if you have pain, I would say focus on the rehab exercises first until you get some stability, and then you can focus on expanding your range of motion. This is Luke with Swing Stronger, and I appreciate you watching.